So good evening. We have a very small crowd. I'm Melissa Salfield, and this is the March 23, 2023 meeting of the Concord Historical Commission. And I will first ask folks who are here to state their name and present. So Nancy?
Nancy Nelson, present.
Michael?
Michael Capizzi, present.
Jesse?
Jesse Cataldo, present.
Yay.
Okay. So thank you, and Melissa Salfield, present. So I, Nancy, and Michael are full members, and that does constitute a quorum, so we can continue to have the meeting. And the first item on the agenda is Mr. Carbo. Mark, I don't know if you want to let yourself be seen or not, but hello.
Hi.
Hello, welcome. So you're here to talk about your house at 325 Main Street and the wording for your plaque, which, as you have your email, could have a lot of names. So I think
yeah, so I wanted to just get your counsel and advice on what would be appropriate for a historic marker. Ian has guided me a little bit, and I think we felt that we needed the broader team's input. It's a really cool house. It's been a great restoration effort, and it's become sort of a labor of love. I'm now learning a little bit of its history as well. I had been focused on the early American history, and it is the original home for Captain Samuel Jones. And so that certainly should be part of the marker. It also has some pretty interesting parts of transcendentalism and Civil War history as well. So the home was later owned by William Channing, the poet. He and I guess Channing, Sanborn, Thoreau, and Emerson were all four pretty chummy. Channing was introduced to his wife by Sanborn, who was the sister of Margaret Fuller. So he married Ellen Fuller. And while in Cincinnati, where her family was from, he met her sister. And I think that was partly Sanborn's inspiration. Channing later introduced Sanborn to that whole crew. And that was part of Sanborn's inspiration to form the Secret Six or the Committee of Six. So those were people who started to set up the Underground Railroad and the slave smuggling. And of course, that Kentucky through Cincinnati route was part of what the Fuller family had set up, and then they backcountry trafficked slaves through the backwoods and into New England. So part of that was, the Sanborn piece. Channing invited Sanborn to live in the home. Sanborn and his sister did then for several years, and during that period, Sanborn had introduced John Brown, you might remember from the raid at Harper's Ferry in 1859, I believe. And that was funded by the Committee of Six. So Sanborn was the instigator for the funding that enabled that. And John Brown came to the house 2 years before that to meet with Channing and that committee. And I have that in some diaries. That was March 14th, wait a minute. Yeah, March 12th through 14th, 1857. And then he returned in March 14th of 1858. And then, of course, 1 year later was the raid. So Sanborn was very critical to some of that history. And then there's also documentation that they trafficked fugitive slaves through the house and hid them in the basement, 1857 to 1865. Channing later left the house and lived in Sanborn's later house down off of Elm Street. And he moved there in 1891 and then ultimately died in Channing's home. So Channing and Sanborn sort of
very close.
We're very chummy and, co-shared homes together a couple of different points in their life. So I think, all three gentlemen are pretty noteworthy. I don't know if a marker can accommodate.
Yeah, you know how big the markers are. They're not that big.
And I'm wondering about the Underground Railroad piece, if that's, I think for people understanding American history and Concord's role in it, that's pretty significant too.
So I had a question about that, and I would ask you, Nancy. You remember, when the Wayside was designated part of the Underground Railroad, we have a bronze plaque because Bob Derry and I went and picked out that rock, had the design of the plaque, and so two separate things. It's that home is legitimately known to be a part of the Underground Railroad, which is there's a national program. And I wondered if you might look to them to see if there's some kind of designation plaque that the national program has. That's separate from the plaque that you're asking about.
Yeah, I have not investigated that. I have just started to investigate the National Historic Register, and there is some documentation from the Mass Historical Society that we probably would qualify for that. But I'm not far enough along to assert whether that's likely or not.
I don't actually recall the plaque, Melissa, so.
You kidding? It's a big rock. Are you?
I remember a rock and I remember where it is.
It's right in front.
I
Look at the Wayside.
I
it's
don't
to the
remember
right.
what it says.
Well, it has long text, but
Yeah.
I remember going out to the quarry and picking out the rock. That's why. Anyway,
That's why you remember it so well.
yes.
I remember the rock.
At any rate,
I mean, I don't know what official part of this would be. I mean, I think it would have been fairly secretive. We do see a couple of different references and data sources, and Inga has provided me some diaries where you see reference of, but it was probably pretty secretive.
well,
I
but
think
it's
that's
documented.
really, really, really interesting part of the story of the house. So it would be great to get connected with the Underground Railroad network, especially now when there's so much focus on the stories that weren't completely told.
Yeah, and it's so you go through the national parks. It's a National Park Service thing.
Probably.
Network, right?
Sure.
So while I open it to others, I know what you're looking for is sort of guidance on the plaque. Franklin Sanborn's home has I thought it had a plaque on. Maybe it doesn't. It ought to. Typically, the plaques name the people who are owners, since Sanborn did not actually ever own this house.
That's correct.
He stayed there a fair amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, more than 10 years though, but yes, he didn't own it.
Yeah, so that would be the only my comment. So what do others feel? I know you're looking because it was basically Samuel Jones or William Ellery Channing. Who
Are there different size plaques, or are they? I mean, we have to be space limited to be consistent too.
It's all the same size plaque. I can't remember the dimensions, but you've seen them around town.
So you could make the font
They're
smaller
small.
and see what it looked like. You could try out the font with all three.
Yeah, I think Bill Crosby tends to be the guy who has done these. I'm not sure. Anne, you didn't talk to Anne about that. And
I mean, I think 2 lines looks fine. I've seen that around town. 3, we'd have to maybe get a mock-up and see if you were receptive to that.
That wouldn't be hard to do. I don't think.
No.
I bet they could do that without much trouble.
I mean, I did not have any idea how interesting this house was, because the guy from the Associated Press.
Yeah, so the guy that founded the Associated Press and the author, or not the author, the editor for the New York Post, and they're reporting on the Civil War. So he was the editor. So he was sort of in Sanborn's orbit and Channing's orbit as well. And then he later bought the house, and so another interesting chapter.
Yeah, so not that many houses have that interesting a story. I mean, they all have a story to tell, but there's some pretty amazing people.
Yeah, I'm hoping the
people.
karma rubs off on me. We'll see.
Okay, you're gonna resurrect UPI. Yeah. So Michael, your thoughts, or anybody else, please speak up.
First of all, congratulations. I've been watching, I live on Wood Street, so
Mm.
I travel by the house every day. Actually, I think I spoke to you last year in front of the house, if you remember.
A little bit, yeah, I recognize.
And I think the restoration has been extraordinary. So I think that alone, you should get a plaque, so with your name on it. But clearly, if what you have referenced is documented, then clearly, I know I have a plaque on my house. You know, a plaque should go there. I think Nancy's right. You know what size and how many.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I mean, there's
words should
another
be on it.
really interesting tidbit that's so far folklore. I'm trying to get some diaries to document, but I believe that Channing introduced Sanborn and to Emerson in the library of the house.
Yeah.
But that's not documented yet. But
Well, so Nancy, with regard to this other, whether it's an agency or organization for the bronze plaque, do we have any do we have the name of that organization that we could send along, or Anne, do you know who it is?
I don't know right off the bat, but
Well,
I could certainly
it's-
look.
It's the network, it is I'm quite sure it's run by the National Park Service, the Underground
Oh,
Railroad
okay.
Network.
Seems like it should be
Yeah.
Network to Freedom or something.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
network, yeah. And or you could, I don't know who over, or you could call somebody at the national park. Anyway, because the Wayside is listed on the Underground Railroad.
okay,
So Jan would know too, the house manager for the Wayside. Or for, I was thinking, it's on the
Yeah, it's not
Wayside,
Orchard House, it's the
not
Wayside.
Louis. Yeah, no.
It's the Wayside.
Sorry,
So,
sorry.
but anyway, I know
fine.
you can Google it, go on the National Park Network for Underground.
yeah,
But
I
that's
can
separate.
investigate that.
So the other thing though, I mean, clearly, I don't think that we have any objection to a plaque. I think you just need some help on the name, on the wording, if it's Jones/Channing/Sanborn House, or if you want Jones, not.
Do we
Jones
say
79.
house or do we just put the owners?
Well, there are a variety, because sometimes it's just the one owner or the most famous owner, who lived on it. Think
Can
of
you-
Bardsley Frost, that's 235 Main,
Melissa?
Yep,
Oh, sorry, I'm having trouble with my video. I don't know if
Video?
you can see me. I don't see myself, so.
we hear you.
But you can hear me. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Nancy speaking, and I'm currently doing a whole survey of the markers and around town. So I'm
Perfect.
looking at all of these things, and it's very easy. You can just take a walk. What I would do if I were you is take a walk around town and look at all of these house signs and see which one is the longest you can find, which one has the longest inscriptions, and count the number of characters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I actually just
I
sent Nancy the list of the historic markers, and I can send that to you, Mark, too. So
Oh,
Like the
please
longest
do.
one.
Yes, I
Yeah,
need
and
for my
I've
report.
done that informally, so that's a great
Yeah.
suggestion. It often will say the owner's name, all three, first, middle, last,
Mhm.
and it'll say house, comma, and date.
Yeah, I was going to say you need a date in there, but I think that the Underground Railroad connection is really important. And I like the idea of, the names separated by slashes rather than a full name. Yeah, I think you just have to play around with it.
Oh, you mean just last names even, not?
well, Samuel
well,
Jones, 1797 / William Ellery Channing, 1849 / Franklin, or maybe not. I mean, William Ellery Channing, I think Ellery is always important because that's how he's quite well known, but
Yeah.
Franklin Sanborn, adequate. But I actually would really look into a separate plaque that you might be able to get through the National Park Service. I don't know this is for a fact, but separate from what you have from the house sign that the
Yeah,
historical
then it
commission
wouldn't compete for space.
blesses. Yes.
Okay.
And typically there's only one date for the house, and it's the date that it was built, unless there's a major addition, and then that would be the
Okay.
second date. So it wouldn't be the time period that someone lived there.
Okay, that's helpful. So
Yep,
we would
okay.
just do the 1767.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, I do not, well, I ask other folks, I don't feel like Mark has to come back to us if he works this out with Anne. Would that be okay with all of you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think there's just no question that it deserves a plaque. So maybe, the specifications just work with Anne.
Okay, and Anne, would you be okay? So I could work with Bill Crosby and just get a mock-up. And then we could see if it could fit all three names, or if we needed to, if it wouldn't, then we would omit Sanborn. Is that the consensus?
Right. Typically, Sanborn wouldn't be listed, even though he lived there. He never owned it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we shouldn't consider that. So it would be the two owners and possibly the Underground Railroad,
Yeah,
depending if we got support from the National Park Service, then we would make that a separate sign.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you need proof. It sounds to me like you actually have it.
Yeah, we have two sources that corroborate.
So, okay, I don't think we need to take a vote, but this is, thank you for,
Yeah, thanks.
educating us on this house.
Okay.
If Mark,
I'm
if
sorry that I
you,
made you come because I did think that you would need a vote, but that's okay.
Well, I don't think, well, I'm not sure what we're taking the vote on. We would vote that, yes, you can have a plaque, the wording to be worked out with Anne. So you want to make a motion for that? Nancy, you want to make that motion?
so moved.
So
I second
all in
it.
favor?
I second.
All in favor, Nancy, Michael,
Aye.
Melissa, aye. There you go.
Mark,
so
if I had your email, I could send you a couple of links that I found here that are interesting.
Oh, perfect.
Some of the Underground Railroad markers are bigger than the plaques that go on the house, but you could take a look at these. And
Okay.
I think it'd give you some information about the Park Services program.
It's so spooky, like when you go down the stairs, carved in one of the wooden beams is silence.
Hmm.
And
Really?
the one room in the basement has like this door with all of these scratch marks and stuff. So I wonder, like, was that have something to do with it? So I don't know really, but it's just.
Oh. Mm.
So
Very
Nancy,
cool.
I have his email. I'll send that to you. So we don't necessarily say it publicly, but I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay. Great.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you all for your service too.
Thank
you.
you very much. Welcome to Concord, I guess, right?
Yeah, no, we've been in Concord for
Right.
15 or so years,
Oh,
but
okay.
new to the restoration here.
Thank you. Thank
Nice
you very
job.
much.
Thank you all.
Okay. So our next item on the agenda, and I see Jenny Adams is there from Public Archaeology Laboratory. This is about the Hanscom Airport Environmental Status and Planning Report. I hope all you've had an opportunity to read her letter and the documents. Hello. And we may want to pull up the some of the images, like the overlay of the affected area. Would that help, Jenny? I mean, you tell us what you need, actually. I should shut up and just let you speak.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Ginny Adams. I'm a senior architectural historian at the Public Archaeology Laboratory in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and we're working with Massport, and Harris Miller, Miller and Hanson is our client lead for the environmental status planning report update for Hanscom Field for the year 2022. And some of you may have been involved in the past, and perhaps some of you have not.
Nancy was.
Yep.
Yes, and so I don't know how much information you'd like to hear from me about the planning process, but essentially, just very briefly, it's an overview planning document that the Massport does every 5 years for the airport in order to assess the current situation and also to forecast activities and
Potential.
potential. for the
Yeah.
future. Yes. What might happen, but it's not a specific project focused document. So though, if any specific projects would come up, that would happen in the normal course of events and would require all the various filings. So what the letter is just an invitation for you all to look back on, or to, for the first time, if you're new to this, take a look and see what was included in the 2017 ESPR for Concord, for historic resources that are listed in the National Register or the State Register, and where the noise monitoring locations were done, and the traffic locations that were studied. And I can tell you that the traffic locations are not changing from 2017. It's the same intersections, and the noise contours, we are waiting to get the updated forecast contours for the year 2030 and 2040, but those won't be available till April. So right now we're just trying to get the information about the resources that need to be addressed in the ESPR report, and PAL does a technical report that supports that. So properties that you're aware of that have been listed in the National Register or the State Register, or that you are have in the pipeline, or that you're watching, so that we can make sure they get addressed and included.
So can I ask, maybe I should know the answer to this, but I don't. Where would we find what was submitted in 2017? I wasn't a part of it, so I don't.
I was going to ask that because I was probably retired by the time that edition came out. But I've been involved in previous updates. So Melissa's right. I was wondering the same thing.
Oh, okay, Nancy. So that is available on the Massport website, and in the
okay.
letter, in the February letter, the link to that.
There's a link. There's a
So
link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then we do have it. That's the images that and I mean, we could pull up that we have on our meeting documents.
Mhm.
So then I guess we've seen them.
That's the link to the 2017
Yeah,
ESPR.
okay.
Mhm.
So I have pulled that up.
Yeah,
It's a
so
little hard. I mean, I'm not, it's hard for me to read that.
Uh,
Yeah, it's very complicated, but
yeah.
I know that Anne has particularly looked at this and has preliminary list.
there's also a table that was in the ESPR.
Yes,
Table 10.3.
there it is. Yeah, so I
there's
have that.
So
Yeah, we do have that. So, okay,
that might be the simplest thing for you to work with.
yep, okay.
Yeah, probably.
The Concord's got like 2 pages worth, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So if there's anything that's been listed in the national or state registers since that table, since it's not on that table, since 2017, it's not on the
Yeah.
table. We want to know that.
okay, okay. So now I do, that makes it more understandable.
Yeah.
Um,
And we can check Macris, of course, the MHC site ourselves, but we'd like to also know if there are things that you have that you're looking at that you know are in the pipeline that will be listed. Sometimes there are things that you know will be that are pending listing. So
well, there's just some areas that, I mean, I am thinking of West Concord because they do come over West Concord. Much of the concentration about this clearly has been in the center of Concord and the parks itself, but West Concord has certainly has a Civil War site that much work needs to be done, like nothing's been done, but we are well aware that it's there. So, you know, and we will work on, so now I think I understand better about what you're looking for. I mean, if it's an area that we we're not sure whether or not we're going to pursue some kind of National Register listing or investigation. We still can list it if we know it to be historically important. Right?
Yes, it wouldn't get into the table in the ESPR, but we can talk about it in the PAL report. Because the ESPR table is for things that are actually listed in the National Register. And
Okay.
That's really kind of funny because they're making projections. They're making hypothetical projections of what the impacts would be. So they're making projections about things that they don't know what might happen. Even though they're projecting into the future, we can't.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Well, I think we will, we're free to write the letter.
Yeah,
Because I mean, I know archaeology is an important topic, and it's been inadequately addressed in this town, and we are aware of that. So, we can write our letter.
yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
that's great. And if you look at, we're looking right now, or we were looking at one of the maps. If we could switch back to those maps for a moment, that I think maybe I could just point out something that would be helpful.
There is a category called National Register eligible.
Yes.
And we could take a look at the criteria and see in our own judgment how those things might match up. Oh, that's nice. That's simpler than mine.
That's very tidy.
I know. I like that. So I have a question about the projections that that's not really your main focus, but are they going to take into account in their projections the current proposed expansion of private jet hangars and the impacts around that's going to cause if it were to happen?
Of hangars on the airport itself.
Yeah, on the northern part of the airport.
Yes, they are. That
Okay.
is part of the
Okay.
The discussion, as far as I know. I mean, there have been some hangars built, and there have been a few removed since 2017.
Yeah.
And I think there are plans for others. They do have long range plans that they're looking at that are going to be incorporated. And I'm just wondering if we're able to look at the maps.
Yeah, so Anne, what
together?
happened? Anne?
My screen shows that it's up. You don't see it?
No, we see your screen, your desktop.
Oh, no.
Somebody's desktop.
Wait a second. Let me try again.
It was up before.
Oops. Do you see it now?
Not yet.
I think it might.
There it
it's coming.
is.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
So this, great. This is the one I was hoping we could take a look at. So this map shows the noise contours
Mhm.
as the existing in 2017 and in 2012. And then the projected noise contour, which we're not seeing here, would be different and probably larger.
Yeah.
But most of the analysis that we're doing is within those noise contours, and then also at the traffic locations. So that's a specific analysis.
Okay.
But we are interested to know if there are other changes in the National Register and State Register, or anything that you all think is eligible, as Nancy just mentioned. For example, in this round, there have been some changes to Minuteman National Historical Park, so the boundary is being adjusted. And last time we added in Barrett Farm unit because that was new.
Yep.
So it's that kind of thing. We want to make sure that this records everything that is known
Do you
Is
know
no-
what the current boundary adjustment looks like?
I only just got an email about that today.
Is it
with-
fairly minor?
It's fairly minor, but it's, I think it's fairly minor, but there is some change, I think, where Hanscom and the park overlap.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I haven't actually seen it yet. They've just been doing the survey and they're just starting to release that, the team. So,
Yeah, I know where that
and
is.
I am in conversation with the park,
Mhm.
as you recall, Nancy, from past, but we haven't had any meeting yet or received any information specifically.
Gotcha.
But Margie Coffin Brown is looking at the information.
Yeah. Okay.
And Simone. So,
So the town of Concord adopted a scenic road bylaw, and so there are 15 miles of scenic roads that you don't have the information on yet. And then
Oh,
of course
yeah.
there's the Battle Road Scenic Byway that runs through the 4 communities, and I don't see that on this map either.
and when were those established?
This,
Was it this year? This last
well, it was last year, or year before this, last year, the scenic roads were established, so there are, 9 of them. And then the Route
Mhm.
2A as a scenic road, a byway, it's also an all-American road. That was, I don't know when that was.
2011, something like that, a little early.
So that would have actually been before the 2012 and 2017. So that was already accounted for.
But I don't think it was incorporated in the thinking.
Okay,
And
well,
it runs also, it's not just Route 2A, but through Concord, also on Lexington Road and out to Barrett's Mill Farm.
okay, as a scenic byway, all-American road.
Yeah.
I guess it was designated a Massachusetts State Scenic Byway in 2006, so it's been around for a while.
I'll go for that.
Okay. But as Nancy pointed out, maybe it wasn't stated. Because I mean,
It may not have been in the 2017 or the 2012.
just because,
I don't remember. We can check that easily, though.
Or it might be discussed in the narrative, but not shown as a national register, state register.
Yeah, and it's not on either of those registers, probably.
And it's not on the map.
But the areas that are within the byway are probably mostly already considered, particularly along Route 2A and Lexington Road. And maybe out to Barrett's Mill. Those are probably already.
well, Barrett's, she said that Barrett's Farm, Colonel Barrett's Farm is in all the park. So
Yeah,
we just
yeah, it
need
was on the
to,
map.
we need to just, I know, Anne has gone, enumerated a lot of suggestions for our letter. I mean, I presume if some of the stuff is repetitive, that's okay. You're just really asking us if there's any additional or some that we're considering for applying for National Register or State Register status to add to this.
Yes,
So I understand, and our letter needs to be in by the 31st, is that right?
if possible, that would
Okay,
be
well,
good.
that's very doable, yes, yes. So are there any other questions or clarifications for Ginny from anyone?
No,
Okay, thank you very much. So we will get to our letter and get it to you.
Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate your input and I'm happy to answer any questions if they come up by email later. Or-
Okay, thank you very much. So, thank you. Okay, good evening. Thank you. So, next order of business, I see Tom Wilson has joined us, is the Wright Tavern, which is a preservation restriction, which I hope all of you had an opportunity to review the latest version, which was sent back to us from town council. He has incorporated the public access language that we have all agreed on. I'll just speak for myself. I read through it. I could see where he made some changes. Obviously, you saw the red line version. But they didn't strike me, and maybe I hope I didn't miss anything, they didn't strike me as substantive. You might refer to the town as the grantor. Oh God, I never can remember that.
Whichever one it is. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of Concord. But at any rate, that's just a clarification and kind of tidying up. And I have a feeling if he went back and went over it again, he'd probably switch it back to Concord. So let's not do that. So Anne, do we need to take a vote, or we just discuss this and what?
I had a couple things.
Oh,
And I would suggest you take a vote. Yes.
okay. So yes, Nancy, then let's discuss. Nancy.
I found that I don't have it up now, so I don't have photographic memory of that whole document. But on page 2 and 3, the reference to the NHL was not either correct or complete, and also in the appendix, and that should be easy to fix. I can talk with Ann about that. On
Okay.
page 5, though, this was amusing. The CPC was incorrectly referred to as the Conservation Preservation Committee.
Oops. So that's why I say we shouldn't give it back to him because
And I think if Ann's okay with this, on page 7, I wrote a note to myself that archaeology was zapped, and then I crossed it out and said, okay. So Ann, it's page 7, section 3.2. Can you
Let me
see
bring
it?
it up. Let me see.
Huh?
Let me bring it up on the screen.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so Nancy, again, what was the first thing you said? What was on page what?
2 and 3, just there's a reference to the National Historic Landmark, and there's something about it that wasn't quite right. But it's just a titling thing. And it's a very sloppily edited document, so I could see how this might have been missed, but I can tell Ann that.
Okay, then the other one was,
On page 5, CPC is referred to. This is not the marked up one, though, is it?
No.
well, but this,
And somewhere here,
here, okay. Okay,
oh, there it is.
so here, wait, stop 1 second. So here, is this where you're saying, Nancy, whereas because of its architectural story, blah, blah, was designated National Historic Landmark?
Yeah, and I wanted to check the dates on that because I think the dates might be confused as well. It's hard to read through this document because it's so sloppily edited, typewritten things are put on top of the original titles of the form and things like that. So I just want to check that with Ann. That's easy to verify. It's just a factual thing. So
Okay.
on page 5, there was that reference to CPC.
Wait, okay, right here. Oh, Conservation Preservation Committee. Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, that's absolutely.
And then let's see, on page 7, 3.2, I think at first I was thinking this was zapped, but it may have been just moved. So green indicates that it was moved somewhere, right?
I
think
wasn't clear.
I think there's a code at the end. And I think that at first I was concerned about this, but then I said it was okay
There
because it was moved. So you see
moved.
the color. And so you should see where it ended up somewhere else, hopefully. But I
Yeah,
don't know.
because the archaeology is important.
Yeah,
Um,
here's some more. Ooh, what page are we on? That's 7 again.
page 7.
But we just have to know where it went.
Oh, it was on.
It was, oh, okay.
There it is. Yeah. Got it. And they
Okay.
just moved.
So that's
So,
fine, right? I
On
mean,
page 27. Is that 27? Oh, okay. This is not, the nomination form is not accurately titled, and the date I think is okay. But I had a question about that, so I wanted to check on that. And then on page 31, I think this is again a note about the actual date. And let's see, yeah. Here's what we're trying to read through. This is actually, originally it was the, it was National Historic Landmark that was to be included on the National Register, and they've typed over it and put National Historic Landmark. And then there's a date here that says,
Well, there's a couple.
yeah, I know. So I
Three.
wanted to check the 9/25/75 to see what that applied to exactly.
Well, doesn't the fact 1975, which is the way it is stated in the body of this preservation restriction, isn't that adequate?
That may not be the dates may not match. So
But the year does, doesn't it?
I want to check to make sure that January 3rd, 1975 and 9/25/75 are correct. That's all I want to do. And I would like somebody else's eyes on it with me.
Okay.
But that's just, it's just a tiny point about the accuracy of the reference to this document, which is pretty squirrely in terms of its clarity sometimes. And then the last one is on page 37. Exhibit C, I take it that we're just not that far along with this project to be able to put the annotated floor plans and photos. So they're supposed to be those photos and floor plans here,
Right.
Well,
but
aren't
they're not
these-
there, but they're not.
The lawyer just said that it was too large. It made the document too large to send via email. So it is, I did bring it up to the website and it's, let's see, I think it's.
They're the same images that we've
Oh,
seen.
there they are.
before.
Yeah, there they are.
Right.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, and we've probably seen most of these.
We have.
Yeah, those are the ones that you guys got when you went on the tour.
No,
No.
this was here before. This is what.
Oh,
she
there they are.
submitted
Yep,
before.
okay. Nope, that's fine. Okay, I just wanted to check on that, and that's all. And Exhibit D, can we go to that?
Yeah.
Okay, and is that the same thing? These are the more recent ones. And
I-
Oh,
is it the same thing? If those were the old ones, did they combine the new photos and the old photos? And so C and D are now combined?
I would have to, Anne, I'd have to ask you, but
Let me
I'm not, I
oh,
don't
I'm
know.
sorry. I'm sorry. So Exhibit C is actually there, and that's right here. And you're right. This refers to annotated floor plan and photographs, which I think is a separate exhibit. That's exhibit.
Yeah, so that's what's incorrect. The annotated floor plan and photographs, that's it.
Yeah.
It's not there.
Well, so,
Yeah, you
but
got
Anne-
it. She got it. She got it.
but will you have them, right?
They're the photographs in Exhibit D that she showed.
Yeah, okay.
They're
That's
actually
what I had.
Exhibit D, I think is
Yeah,
right. Right.
There you go.
Exhibit D says the photographs.
yeah.
Yes, so that,
Yeah.
and that is. that.
And the floor plans, are the floor plans somewhere in there?
The floor plans are this little diagram on the lower left.
Oh,
Lower
that's
right.
what they're referring to.
I think so.
Oh, okay.
This,
That's
I
a
mean, this
stretch.
part of the preservation restriction has been consistent.
Yeah, I've seen this before. I was just, the labeling was just not quite
Yeah,
right.
no.
So I was looking for different floor plans.
So, those are about 4 things you picked up. I didn't write them down.
I wrote them down. I'll send
I
them to
wrote
Ann.
And so I just want procedurally, can we take a vote to accept this iteration with Nancy's amendments?
With minor corrections
Yeah,
or clarifications.
yeah,
And they're minor.
but, and with that, because I don't want to have to come back to this. I'd
No,
like to be able to
no.
say, we've got it. We're going to ship it off to,
Yeah.
I guess, Mass Historical Commission.
Right, that's
Yeah.
where it goes.
With photos and
Well, the
floor.
whole
Yeah,
packet,
yeah,
the whole packet goes,
Yeah,
that,
like
yeah,
it
she
says.
would get the
Yeah.
images as well.
No,
So, Nancy, do you want to make a motion? How about,
I make a motion that we accept the language of the preservation restriction with the annotations from town council and others, with a few minor clarifications and corrections in the text.
a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. So all in favor, Nancy,
I,
Michael,
Aye.
Melissa, I. So, okay, so with those changes, then, Anne, is that something you forward to the Mass Historical, or does it have to go from the town council?
It has to go from town council,
Okay.
but I'll certainly get the information from Nancy and send it to town council and let them take it from there.
Okay.
I'll do that first thing in the morning or last thing tonight.
Great. Okay.
Okay. So thank you. Tom, did you have anything to add?
No,
Since
I
you're
just
here?
want to say, take a moment and just celebrate. I don't know, so we reached this milestone that I'm
Well,
so
we're
pleased
not
that,
there yet.
well, you know, at least it's a milestone. It's not the end. It's not the end of the journey, but it's a milestone in our journey. So,
Many miles, right?
yeah, exactly. Miles to go before we sleep, as they say.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, I think this is an important thing. I'm glad we, I think, I really appreciate you all understanding our situation and, First Parish is behind this and is ready to go. So it's, I'm excited for everybody. So it's time we move on to the next parts. And so I'm sure that'll be coming up in April.
Okay, well, so thank you. So,
Yeah.
so then next order of business, well, like, I think it was in our packet, right? But I'd like to congratulate Anne because it's really her wonderful efforts and writing and intellect that Mass Historical Commission has awarded the Planning Division, Town of Concord, $25,000 in support of this historic preservation plan that will commence like later this year, presuming that the CPC funds are awarded at town meeting. So thank you, Anne. We can't see you to say in sort of semi-person. There you go. Because it's
There you
really,
are.
Here.
really is your efforts. So thank you and congratulations.
Congratulations. Nice job.
Thank you to all of you. Yeah.
So then moving on, the next thing is just, I hope you've read the letter about the Old Manse. This is part of their 106 review process. They're just notifying us of the that they're going to remove some trees on the property, and they're concerned about archaeology and the area that might be disturbed. I don't know what is really expected. Are we just to say we note it and approve?
They're
You're
asking if we wanted to be a consulting party. Is that correct?
Well, they're just informing us of this survey, inviting our comments. We have no objection to the work that they're doing, right? Or do we?
I don't. I was just keying on what the agenda said, that there was an invitation to become a consulting party, I think.
Right.
That was the
Right.
subject of the letter.
Yeah,
That's how he described it. I can bring that up too.
yeah.
I think it'd be great for us to participate in something like that. So
I
I
I'd
don't know
concur.
exactly what we're doing, though.
should we just get to talk to them more if they want to? Don't worry
Okay,
about it. It's
I
okay.
agree.
It's okay.
well, we presume that we would obviously accept the invitation.
Yeah.
And we are in support of their efforts because it seems that they are doing due diligence to protect the archaeological integrity of the property.
Yeah, and I think, that's the Chapeau's,
Very important, yeah.
be all end all, so. And the very last, let's see, does it say anything more specific about that? Well, see, this would be fun. You're invited to monitor field work. I was
Okay,
forgetting about
we'll
that part.
we
That'd
will
be-
hunt them.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Okay, so I will, on our everyone's behalf, I will write back and that, yes, we accept the invitation and we will look forward to being invited from time to time to see the field work.
Yeah.
That
Right.
sound good?
Right? Yes.
Okay, I don't think
Yes.
to take a vote on that, so that will be interesting.
Good.
Then
That's all I
couple
got.
things, a couple of things. I knew this would be a fairly quick meeting. Thank you. Just to remind you that at town meeting, we are presenting a warrant article, Article 20, which is really about, it's amending the delay bylaw, changing the time frame from 45 to 60 days. I was sort of hoping that, well, that maybe it might be on the consent calendar. There's a meeting I have to attend on April 14th, which will talk about
Oh, good.
the coordinating meeting, and that's what I'm hoping,
Oh, good.
because I don't see that it should not be a controversial article. Also to remind you that the next meeting is April 13. And that before that, April 6th, I hope you all got the invitation from Cassandra Ostrander about the next meeting of, we are a consulting party for the Battle Road Route 2A, gosh, now what do they call it? Pavement Preservation Project.
Pavement preservation, that
Right.
cracked me up.
I love it. So I guess now we're going to preserve all those potholes. That's my
So
position.
where would the commission have gotten that? Did I send it or did you send it or did
I
Ann send
forwarded it to everybody.
You
I
forwarded
Right.
it to the
Again.
commission. Okay,
Right.
good. It should be interesting. They've only allocated an hour, which means they're just going to talk. And we'll see. A lot depends on what changes they've made and which ones they have not.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, the title of it is,
Yeah, yeah. Hopeful.
I'm
That's
not kidding.
hopeful.
Pavement preservation. I guess they like the potholes, so we'll
It's
just keep.
it's better than pavement expansion.
And then the only other thing to just, and I told Ann, I would call Elizabeth tomorrow, and there are some, I personally, I speak for myself, Nancy, you can speak for yourself. I suppose I'm supposed to go off the commission at after town meeting. And I would like to know whether I could get appointed again, because again, speaking very personally, I really would like to continue and work with Ann on this preservation plan, which is something I've been concerned about for some time. It's all started with very simply updating this historic resources master plan, and is now at the way Ann has proposed it and structured, it'll be a really important effort led by the planning division that we will be a part of for the whole town, and it will help to enhance preservation within the community and as kind of a great public relations for our work. So anyway, I would like to see if I can get reappointed. So Nancy, you just have to let us know what you would like.
I would like to, I guess it's possible for me to be appointed as an associate member, which
Yeah,
I would like to do if that's possible.
I think, well, for me
I'm
as well.
timed out with the full membership. I think same situation Melissa's in. No, you
No,
were
no.
extended somehow.
No, I got reprimanded this afternoon. They sent me a vote that I had never been told about. So I'm in your same situation.
Oh, okay, okay.
So it would just mean, I think it would move up Chessie and Ryan. to full member status, I think. Michael, you already are,
Yes,
and Alan is.
right.
So maybe.
believe-
Ryan is a
Ryan-
full member.
Ryan's
It
full
would
now
be
too.
Nancy
Ryan
Okay,
is a
so it
full
would be
member.
Jesse
and Nancy.
and
And
Nancy.
Nancy.
Yeah. So we go back down to the bottom.
Excellent.
Okay, so at any rate, I thought I would, talk to Elizabeth Hughes about that tomorrow in the planning department. So unless folks have anything else to bring up?
I just
I
have a
think-
question.
Oh.
Nancy, I'm sure we do not have to take a vote on this Mance issue. Is that correct?
The which issue?
The Mance issue that we just went over prior to
no.
this.
Oh,
We don't have to take a vote. Is that correct? To participate with them and
I don't,
no?
well, I mean, if you would you like to take a vote?
No, well, I want to do what you feel comfortable that should we do
I mean-
this? Or do we have to do this? I don't know.
Wouldn't hurt to
To
vote.
Take a vote? Okay, well, so someone make a motion that just to reiterate, we have been invited to become a consulting party for archaeological intensive survey and site examination at the Old Manse.
Right. I make a
we-
motion that we take a vote on that.
And I second.
Okay.
That we accept, that we.
Yes, that we accept it.
Okay,
Yes.
so all in favor, Mike,
Aye.
Nancy,
I,
Melissa, yes. So I will write to them and say that we would like to, and they'll just keep us informed.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting, I think.
Okay. All right, so I think with that, our next, as I think I said, our next meeting is April 13th, Thursday, and so it'll be a brief, because that in March there we were not able to meet earlier because of town business.
Right.
So the next meeting will be April 13th. And I guess I would like to ask, we are still allowed to meet via Zoom, but would folks like to meet in person?
Can we do hybrid still?
Yeah, we
Does that
can.
make any sense to anybody?
It's, yeah, I think part of the reason.
I don't care. I don't care. Whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you want.
It's sort of, that room is not well suited for it. I remember we used to meet upstairs and this, thought that setup was a little bit better, but,
I don't mind the room, but whatever people think. I don't care. I'm agnostic.
well, so people don't care.
Right.
I mean,
But
because
it's
it
easier for
came up
Anne.
yesterday, in the chair's breakfast that they did say that both the legislature had continued to extend or allow Zoom meetings for municipal committees and commissions like ours. So it was still legal. So if you'd like to continue, we can until such time as we have to, officially meet in person.
It's fine.
But can I ask a question? Do you feel that meeting in person is more substantive to our mission and being able to communicate and et cetera? Or, I mean, do you see a deficiency in the Zoom participation?
I mean, I frankly, I like Zoom when we have to do what Ann just did, which is to show images on the
Right.
screen. It's much cleaner, easier. That's to me,
Right.
the downside of being in the room.
Right.
But you can still.
But you have been a strong advocate for getting back in person.
Well, sometimes, I don't know, don't you, I've gotten so used to Zoom that it doesn't
Right. I mean, I
bother.
wanted to know if I was missing something because I felt that actually participating by Zoom was, in a way, more beneficial because people were able to pull up documents, right away and flashing things up. But if you feel that not being in person in any way diminishes what we do and how we do it, then certainly say it, and then
Yeah, no,
we can.
I mean,
I mean, the
will say-
COVID was one thing. I mean, obviously COVID made sense not to be together. I'm just curious, does the planning, does the Historic District Commission, are they now meeting in person, or does the Planning Commission now meet in person, or are they still virtual?
HDC met via Zoom last time.
Right.
The
And what about-
DPW meets in person now.
What does?
DPW,
Oh.
at least I've been to meetings where, but they do hybrid meetings, the ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think one thing clearly, when we have done demolition delay hearings,
Right.
I think we've gotten a lot better participation because they can do it through Zoom and from their
Right.
home. And
Right.
it does seem, I mean, the people seem very comfortable speaking up, which is what we
Right.
want.
Right.
I think
Right.
the disadvantage comes when you have a real knotty issue. And it's very important to be able to look people in the eye and have a frank conversation and
Yeah.
a frank exchange that's not, everybody talks at the same time,
Right.
but things get through. Not necessarily the same time. So that's the only thing I can think of when things are really, you're dealing with something really challenging. I find
Yeah.
that in person might be better.
Well, maybe the planning department has a perspective on it that they might want to send us, and we can reflect on it and then decide, or or get Alan's insight and Ryan's insight, and as full
Yeah.
members, what their thoughts are. And I don't think Francesca's on now. Maybe Francesca and
Francesca must love it.
I know. I can't imagine that Bo was going to allow her to say, go to town hall. I don't think so.
I'm here. I'm flexible. It's nice to get out of the house sometimes. So
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
whatever works best for the group is great.
Yeah.
So I
So
think
maybe-
everybody should reflect on it, and somebody send out some memorandum or something to come up with what their thoughts are, because it seems to me that this works in many ways better, although Nancy said, unless there is an issue that comes up that we know is coming up where we feel we should be in a room on a specific issue, then at that point we can do that, I guess.
Well, so maybe we can just send out, that's what I'll do. I'll just send out an email to everybody and just please
Right.
reply what you
Right.
want to do.
Right.
And we can always change.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, thank you. I realize I do not have to take a vote to say goodnight and end the meeting, so I can just say goodnight.
Good night.
Thank you all. We'll see
Good
you
night.
soon.
Good night. Yeah.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Good
So
night.
we could have an in-person meeting with cookies and coffee, and that would be just fun.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do have one more comment
Oh, what-
Melissa, about the meetings. One thing that is good about a hybrid meeting is that for people who travel and have to be away, I'm going to be away, for example, in May. If you're away and you're doing a hybrid, then you can still participate.
Mhm. Yeah.
I personally like being in person. I think we're all at home too much. I'm definitely at home too much. And so I think I like being with people, but I think it's important that, as you said, when we have the demolition bylaw review, is that if you get more people, public attending by Zoom, I think that's great. I think that's really important. But I think that if we have the capacity for hybrid always, I think that's a great thing.
We do. Well, so you know what? I'm not even gonna, I think we'll just do it hybrid next time. For those who would like to come, you know where it is in the first floor conference room. I presume it will be April 13th. So we'll see you then, but we will do it hybrid. I think until we are told that Zoom is not allowed, we would always make that as an option.
I'll bring cookies.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
Have a
all.
nice night.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
everybody.